Hi everybody, welcome to Ottman Chapter 6 Singalong. This is just to help you get ready for prepared sight singings, of course, and develop the skills that we are working on this semester. So it might help to actually do some singing. If you are in a position, I know that we're all stuck indoors, if you're in a position to actually do some singing, I think that would be useful. So of course, if we were to warm up a little bit, we might pick a key and sing a major scale. And that would be do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. And then we could sing a tonic triad. Do, mi, so, mi, do. Let's do a couple more of those just because we're singing here. Scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Tonic triad. Do, mi, so, mi, do. One more scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Tonic triad. Do, mi, so, mi, do. Now, of course, if we have a triad based on do, that is do, mi, so, mi, do. And in Chapter 6, starting on page 79, we see the consideration of a dominant triad, which means if we sang do, mi, so, mi, do, and I asked you to find so, you could simply sing so. And now consider that you could have a triad based on so, which would of course be so, ti, re, ti, so. And we see here this in the bottom half of page 79. They are in G major. Now this is of course do, so I have to get a new key in my head here, and I might do that by singing a scale in whatever octave is best. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Whew, I've got a nice voice. And setting up our tonic triad. Do, mi, so, mi, do. Finding so will help us sing our dominant triad, so, ti, re, ti, so. And in G major here we see do, mi, so, mi, do is that block chord known as a 1 chord. And the 5 chord, so, ti, re, ti, so. What is just underneath this? The bottom line of page 79, G minor. Now we have a minor tonic triad, do, me, so, me, do. But we still have a major dominant triad, so, ti, re, ti, so. Here's where do based minor is definitely helpful because the major triad based on 5 is the same in major and minor. So the dominant triad is going to help us out as we get to some crazy melodies here in chapter 6. Skipping and leaping around this triad and dominant is going to be the same as skipping and leaping around a triad on tonic. And we're going to get to some examples. I know that you mostly care about what the prepared sightseeing excerpts are, so we'll get to those. But of course, you see plenty of examples here in chapter 6 that give you opportunities to practice these concepts, looking at disjunct melodies and seeing how consideration of implied triads will help us out. We're going to start at the bottom of page 83 with 6.13. Number 13 here, we are in G minor, what do you know? And we recognize that, of course, F sharps all over the place we see are our raised leading tones. So a visual walkthrough of this will help us solve problems before they start. We, of course, don't start on do. Do is going to be this. Here's our tonic triad. And we know that we start on so. Measure 1 right off the bat is a tough measure. It jumps up from so to do, then to ti, and then back to so. What is this? Leaping within our tonic triad to leaping within or skipping within our dominant triad. So seeing how we might accompany this melody by, at the downbeat of measure 1, so, do, ti, so, can really help us recognize that. So we're starting to do a little on-the-fly analysis to help us catch these leaps and skips when they come up. So walking into measure 2, we have to get back to do, stepwise for a long time. The end of this first line, A, F sharp, D. What is that? It's going to be re, ti, so. Obviously a D major triad. So seeing that implication is going to be very helpful. So let's do line 1. Let's split this up. So line 1, and we start on this pitch. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So, do, dominant triad there then. Second half is very similar. We just now have a, what do you know, resolution back home to do. Perhaps even a perfect authentic cadence implied here. The second half, 3 and 4. So, do, ti, so, do, re, fa, re, do, ti, do, re, ti, do. Cool. So that sort of analysis will help us as we go. Let's move over to 6.15. Number 15 in the middle of page 84. What key are we in here? A minor, right? We don't have any sharps or flats in the key signature, but we certainly end on A, and we see G sharps all over the map. So another melody that is starting off with this so to do activity, something from our tonic triad days. So we still want to keep in mind the ways we can use the tonic triad to find difficult leaps. Now we're also considering how we might use the dominant triad. So let's do some quick analysis. We have so to do into that first measure. It's stepwise down to G sharp, then from a G sharp down to E is T down to so, just like we might do in our dominant triad. Oh man, the end of this first measure into the start of the second measure is going to be so up to May, right? So that requires thinking about the tonic triad. I might set this up for myself in the key of A minor. I might sing do, me, do, and then so, ti, re, ti, so. And now I can find some of these as needed. The beginning of 6.15. 1 and 2 and 3 and so, do, re, do, ti, so, me, do, ti, stepwise, do, re, me, fa, re, do, ti, do. When we get to the second line here, what's going to happen? Okay, another skip down to G sharp. Boy, this first measure of the second line has huge dominant activity. And then another very difficult leap from so up to May involving tonic activity. Here's our pickups to the second line, 2 and 3 and so, do, re, ti, ti, so, me, do, ti, do, re, me, fa, re, do, ti, do. Cool, not so bad. Let's take a look at the next one is 21. We are on page 86. And now, as you see in the section heading above it, we are dealing with some leaps of fourths and fifths. The second measure of 6.21 is going to be tough. Why is that? Because we need to find so coming from re. We have found so from do pretty well up to this point. Now we need to recognize that what might be implied here in the second measure of number 21 here is dominant activity in measure 2, and then in measure 4, and then in measure 6. So we're ready for these when they happen. At the beginning, 1 and 2 and 3. Do, do, ti, do, re, so. Right? Because underneath, D, major triad implied. Measure 3. 3. Do, do, ti, do, re, so. Right? Starting on the last measure of the first line here to the end, we recognize that we have a really disjunct melody with these rests in it, but we recognize how it might be dominant, tonic, dominant, tonic. Last measure of the first line, 2 and 3. Do, do, ti, do, re, so, mi, so, re, so, mi, do, ti, do. Cool. So we have strategies for these leaps, and so we don't have to just hunt for them. Cool. Moving on to 22, just below here. This one might be tough for me since it is definitely in bass range. Please be kind. We are in the key of B flat major. Do we start on do? Nope. We start on mi. So tonic activity at the beginning. Mi, re, do. What's the solfege syllable of the second measure? Do up to so. Okay, we can employ the tonic triad to find that. But the middle of measure 2 is so down to re, and this is tough. This is something to practice. So before I dig in, I want to just zone in on measure 2 of 22 here and recognize that leaping from so to re takes a little bit of work. Here's the key we're in. I'm going to sing my tonic triad. Do, mi, do. I can find so, and maybe first I'm just going to sing my dominant triad. So, ti, re, so. So if this is so, it would go up to re, so, re. That's just the same as any triad, the root up to the fifth of the triad. Now we have to leap down from so to re, so, re, right? So I might practice this a couple times before I dig into 22. Here's my tonic triad. Do, mi, do. So, re, re. It's that same perfect fourth as we would of any root and fifth of a triad. Here's 22. Let's get through the first 4 measures. And 3 and 1. Mi, re, do, so, re. Mi, re, do, ti, so. Ooh, not bad. I got the low note. We're going to see some repetitive activity here at the end. So I'm going to start now in the downbeat of the 5th measure, last measure of the first line. And 1. Mi, re, do, so, re, mi, do, mi, re, ti, do. Okay, cool. 1 left here, 49 all the way. Towards the end here, we are on page 92 in either A major or F sharp minor. And, well, it starts on C sharp. That's no help, but it ends on F sharp. And I'm seeing raised leading tones all over the map. So I'm feeling pretty strong about it being an F sharp minor. Let me first get this key into my head. Here's an F sharp. Let me sing a minor triad. Do, me, do. And find so, or so. And then a major dominant triad. So, ti, re, ti, so, right? So now I'm ready to find leaps from members of the tonic triad, do, me, or so, and leaps around members of the dominant triad, so, ti, and re. Let's do a quick scan. So, do, right off the top, stepwise, come back home to do at the end of the first measure, and then up from do to so. That's not so bad. Ooh, what is going on the end of this first line? C sharp to G sharp to C sharp. That is strong dominant activity. So, re, so. Finding re is tough. We have to sort of visualize this harmony change underneath. We might accompany this first line by a 1, 2, 3, 4. So, do, re, mi, do, so, re, so, right? Recognizing that there's really a dominant chord implied. Pickups to the second line, we see that there's some repetitive activity here. We have to get from a high C sharp to a low C sharp, but that's no sweat because it's the same solfege syllable. End of the second line here. What are our solfege syllables on this piano measure? C sharp, A. That is going to be a so to me. The next measure, which is the first measure of the third line, so to re. So we're ready for that. While it's a pretty tiny visual difference here, it's huge in terms of the implied harmonies. Tonic, using C sharp to A, and then dominant, C sharp to G sharp to E sharp to C sharp to E sharp. A lot of dominant activity here in line 3. So I'm going to start on the last measure of line 2 on the C sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, me, so, re, ti, so, ti, do. Cool. I'm going to do second line to the end. Here's the pickup to the second line. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, do, re, mi, do, so, so, do, re, mi, do, so, tonic, so, So, re, ti, do, so, ti, do, re, so, ti, do. Cool. Good luck, everybody.